that looks all right. And then you come around this side and you start thinking, ooh, that doesn't look all right. That looks odd. Pulled the glass strip out. The actual rail doesn't look as bad over the majority of its length as the other one did. Gone here, not uncommon for cars that have sat sitting for an awfully long time. And gone at the leading edge again because moisture gets trapped. The upright on the B-post, the roof rail, and the majority of this rear D-pillar cover are in quite robust order. So next, and well, I'm going to pull the loom out. Then I found this piece of plastic, I believe. So because the loom is largely on the floor, it goes through that bung there. Sort of. So pull the loom out, take it out from that clip up there, and just loop it around and drop it into the back of the front footwell so it's out of the way. Out of the way of all the grinder sparks and so forth. It looks like we've got a new floor on this side as well. It really does. I think we will end up replacing the curtain. We'll see how bad it is on the lip that goes around here, because on here, having had a little pick, I can see there's lumps of steel that have been put over the top of the original lip here, which is why it's a centimetre thick. Probably fine, it's been bonded on with filler, because that is really, really, very, very, very good at doing shit like that. And then, yes. Oh, and by the way, while I was doing all of this, the sill and the floor area separated because it was held together with filler. Floor area, which is new. Sill area, which is new. Filler. Yes. Well, that really didn't take very long. So I got in there with Mr. Zippy, and yeah, there was a good centimetre of filler around the base of the arch. The floor section, I'll be honest, looks so savable. It's a new panel. These ain't cheap, so I'm going to try and get this out intact at the cost of the wheel arch, which is shite. So the wheel arch is going to be sacrificial. Nice pop riveted plate there. Wheel arch is going to come out, and really the curtain is probably going to come off as well, because I think because of this damage here, and God knows what's going underneath there. I mean, the curtain isn't as bad as it was on the other side. We've got these kind of localised areas of rot, and if I were to replace the curtain, then really I'd need to make sure I got that bit. I think we're going to have to see what comes out of here. And look at the dust. This is what filler dust. The whole workshop is full of filler dust. Angle grinder worked quite hard though. That's pretty warm actually. I might pop that outside because motors, when they start to get that hot, probably find smoke coming out of it, or is it dust? When they get that hot, they kind of get a little bit too hot. It worked too hard, I think. There was just too much filler in there. Right, so as I was saying, arch is the sacrificial part here. That is just a panel. There's less filler in that than I thought. It was still a good centimetre thick, but there was a lot less filler than I was anticipating down there. So that can come off. Arch can come out. See if we can get the floor out intact. So really just cutting along this lip just inside the welded line here. It may well be that it's just been pop riveted to the arch again. We don't know. But I'd imagine that the arch and the floor are going to come out as a single unit. I think. What we might need to do here is get Mr. Reciprocating Saw in. Midway through the demolition, yeah, we're finding some interesting things here. So, for instance, the end of the sill, which is fairly new. as far as I'm aware, is full of filler. Now I think it's actually that someone has filled the end of a new sill with filler rather than anything more sinister. And that's probably going to come off there. I'm not going to do it with two. Oh look, it's coming off now. Look, all filler. That's all filler. There's a replacement floor panel, as you can see. That's kind of how it really adjusted itself once I broke the pop rivets that were along here. So now there's really nothing, the forward edge of this car, attaching the wheel arch to the floor. And the only way it was attached was by pop rivets along this edge here and filler. Don't do this at home, folks. All of this down here, so all the way this curtain is, this is all filler. Nice, huh? I think we're getting the message there, Richard. This was one fucked up restoration. It wasn't even a restoration. This was one fucked up bodge. I can't think anyone would have taken a step back from this and thought, do you know what, we've done good today. Oh, it's a beautiful day today. Right, okay. So, as you can see, the floor's out. And we have one bolt here. One bolt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pop rivets and filler. Impressive. Even more impressive, double skinned wheel arch, anyone? Yeah, we don't worry about things like seatbelt mountings that are held in with filler. No, we don't worry about shit like that. Oh, fucking it, honestly. Double skinned, front to back. Now, interestingly, what we've got here, stop making a lot of noise, Richard. Got the original spot welds here along the top of the wheel arch. So this piece here is original to the curtain. Okay, the rest of it is shite. So I got that out intact. Whether I'm going to use it or not, I couldn't tell you. The curtain itself, it's possibly savable. I'll have a chat with the customer, but I think by the time I've got this lot tidied up and replaced sections like this bit up here, I might as well have fucking replaced it. It's not beautiful, really. Probably can't even see it because the light's not on it. Go from this side. Oh no, you still can't see it because someone's painted it satin black. But at least we can see now the extent of the gibbonry. That patch over there, by the way, that one's on. Let's go over and have a look at it closer. That was attached to the wheel arch, but it really didn't put up a lot of kind of a struggle, really. And you can see the great big, look at, oh, this is a beauty, this one, look at this one. I need to save some of these bits for the customer. B-post is falling apart. In all the aggression of getting this thing off, this patch is falling off, look. Right, okay, so I think, I honestly don't know. I'm going to tidy up this lot, which really means just kind of taking up the spot welds, plug welds down here, taking all of this extra shite off, which unfortunately is quite a noisy job. You can see here we've got a nice big piece of steel there. But the sill actually looks original, but I couldn't tell you what that is. So let me get your pry bar. Right, now let's wedge that in there. Let it go in there. Probably would. It's all filler. Just a second. Get in there, you fucker. There we go. Another patch. Torn away. You saw it with your own eyes. And what we've got here is actually something I can work with, this sill. I'm rather hoping that whoever welded the inner and the outer sections of the sill together wasn't the same person who did these repairs. I think there comes a point where you just have to stop kind of digging, unfortunately. So that's new sill, that is MIG wire, and so it actually goes to prove that they didn't even fucking stick well with this. God knows what MIG they were using. And it's off. This one, did it come off easier than the other side? Came off quicker, partly because I've resolved myself to the fact that I was just going to replace it and not mess around with it. So up here, let's get the light. Up here, we've got a far better situation around the base of the seat, base of the D pillar cover. This lip, similarly, is in pretty good order most of the way. Next thing I'm going to have to do, I've left the seat support in position, and this one has got almost as much filler on it as the other one had. So I'll get that extracted. This lip again is in really good order. So once that's flapped back and rust treated, I'll be able to do something with that. I'm going to have a cup of coffee, and then I'm going to get on and separate all of this shite down here, get all this nonsense off the car, because it don't want to stay there, because it's rubbish. Not the car, this shit. It's just, well, I don't know what it is. Does this might even just come off here. It might do. Sometimes they just pop off, and sometimes they don't. But that's going to be my job after I've had a coffee, and then I'm going to, like I say, get this off. Then I can, before I start making up the goalpost, I'll leave the goalpost as it is, and I'll put this curtain, floor and arch back in. Is where I'm going, I think. But this side did seem to put up more of a struggle when it came to some of the weld. So yes, it wasn't good. That's the original floor underneath there. The new floor was underneath. So it sat above that. Then you could see here where there was an enormous gap between the floor and the edge of the sill. They just wedged a load of filler in there. I mean, look at it. And again, it's a relatively new part, the sill. So we're going to end up doing much the same as we've done on the other side. So clean all this shit back, get this patch off here, see what's going on with the bottom of the V-post. When I'm comfortable with what's going on with the bottom of the V-post, I think I'll end up cutting it off, because we're still supported at the back end here and on the roof rail. So disconnecting the V-post at this point, I don't see as being too much of an issue. But you can see here, this really isn't what we're looking for. No, Richard, no, it's not. Yeah. I just found something a bit scary. So I was clearing up the crap pile over here. I need to give it a bit of a sweep in a second, and I found that. What the fuck is it? That's the seatbelt mounting. But what's it doing down there? So we're going to look at the arch. Well, there's the arch as it come out. All of this is filler, of course. Well, was that really just put in there like that? And I think it was. Fucking dangerous. Well, I removed the seat box. It didn't put up a huge amount of kind of resistance, I'll be honest. But then it's a tired unit. And then, pardon the clanking, I found that there was nothing on the back of the B-post at all. I've literally just separated this piece here. Let's just position you so you can see what's going on. Can you see? Hopefully you can. Yes, you can. Just cut down this line of weld here. You see the amount of filler that's falling out. And I thought I'd just show you the gibbonry that goes on with this. So, I'm in the B-post. You can already see the B-post moving. All I've done is one cut on this, and this is going to... There it goes. That's your B-post. Beautiful. Just fucking beautiful. Yeah, I think is what I'm planning on doing now. Yep. So all of this lot can come off. And yes, it's all going to have to get made up from scratch. Probably be able to just tear this off. Just being careful of my fingers here, because there are some sharp edges. Here I'm just unwrapping this repair with my bare hands. Now it is a few layers thick over here, so this might actually be a bit tougher than I anticipated. If I just belt it with the hammer, you ready? There it goes. Broken and off. One B-post. And under here, what we've actually got is the remains of the original B pillar. I'm going to need to cut quite a long way back though in order to get this back to where I wanted to get it. Now, the key thing is that I think, aside from all of the gibbonry that's been going on here and the criminally bad repairs, I think there's enough left on this that I can get the sill, which I think is a fairly recent item, recovered. My concern, again, I'm afraid, is the quality of repairs on the sill. So I'm just going to see if I can separate that out of the sill, and yes I can. There we go, bring her out to sill separated. What the fuck are we going to do? That big lump of filler up there. So come over here, out of the way. So what I'm doing now, obviously you're looking at the back. So we're looking at the back of the B pillar, which is now floating. Door probably will still close, it does. The only reason this is still firm is because it's actually welded onto that. I've probably got this piece up here which is holding it in place as well. But there's not a whole lot going on behind there, and there's some real pigeon snot on top of it. But what I basically did just now was put the chisel in between the inner and the outer sill and bonk straight through. So oh dear. I don't know. I really don't know. The other side wasn't this bad. But then I was just looking at all this snot along the top here. I've got all the fucking seat boxes in. I've got all of the seats in. I've done all of the A-post. And then I find all this shit, which is supposed to have been done. I think what we're going to end up having to do here is I'm going to have to drill holes through the lip on the bottom of the sill. One end to the other. I'll plug weld it. Upside down. It's the only easy way I can do this. I've had the windscreen fitted, so I really don't want to be taking the body side frame away from the vehicle. This has to be done in situ. And the reason I started checking this is all of that stuff up there really shouldn't be there. Let me give it a tap. See how tight the top and the bottom. In fact, if we go in here, you seeing what I'm seeing? What do you reckon? Oh, we found a weld. We found a weld. We're 2.5 inches in and we found a fucking weld. I don't know where to go with it. I really don't. Well, I do, but I don't want to. It's just, it destroys me to end up having to do things twice. And having fitted all of the dash and the door, and got the door shimmed up and fitted the seats, to find this does not fill me with joy. Now, I suspect I can certainly weld this, and then I can drill holes through the floor along the top here and plug weld in. But I'm not convinced in any way that this sill has been welded together correctly. Conversation with customer, I think. So when you get stuff like that, you really kind of like, I was quite shocked. I don't know if you picked it up from the video, and I phoned the customer, well, the customer phoned me, and kind of at the wrong side. Yes, I was shocked, really. So, best thing to do sometimes is actually to walk away. Not forever, of course, no, because that would be silly. Thank you. It's to walk away and to sleep on it. And having slept on it, I can see a bit more clearly now. So let me go over what it is that I think I'm going to do here. Right, so first and foremost, from here to the back, the welds have broken. From here forwards, I'm able to I've had a couple of places where I've wedged the chisel in along here. And while it's not the tidiest welding in the world, it does appear, this is continuing to haunt me, it does appear to have had some penetration. Surely it's not working. Right, it does appear to have some penetration. So I'm reasonably happy with that. And top edge, similarly, the welding is not beautiful. And it could be a lot better. Up here, I noticed that it was a bit bad. So rather than take the sill off to invert it, to seam weld that lot there, what I'm actually going to do, I think, this idea came to me last night. I've taken the seats out, as you can see. The seats are now in the back of my car. What I'm going to do is drill through the top section here, quite big holes, and then plug weld the top edge of the outer sill to the top edge of the inner sill. So really, by drilling a hole through here, I can then weld straight onto that. If I drill right the way through, then I just fill the hole with plug. Now, because these things would have, put my teeth in, because these things would have originally been spot welded, I believe, about every 1.5 inches, about every 4 centimetres or so. I'm going to have to go along. Now, I need to obviously take the seat box out. I've strapped up a blanket here because it's going to be a bit of cutting and sparking and so forth, and I want to protect the new windscreen. But I think that should do the job. Now, I'm comfortable with the bottom of the A-post on here because I built it. I made that completely from scratch, which is why it looks a lot better than the A-post on this side. Now, I suspect, God, I can't get my teeth in today, that I'm going to have a similar issue on this side, whereby I need to just drill a line of quite chunky holes, 10mm holes or thereabouts, along the edge. However, when it gets to this, I'm actually inclined to cut that out because I just don't trust it. It looks an awful lot like a fucking great big lump of filler to me. And I paid no attention to that when I repaired this. So if you remember, this was the A-post, going back to episode, I don't know what, whereby there was a repair panel which came up to about here, and then there was a big gap which a piece of metal had been glued into, and then the rest of it was papier-mâché and filler. That's now steel all the way round on the inside and the outside. I didn't do much more with this than that, and you can see I've literally just welded the channel on here, which I need to put this stuff over the top of, a piece of copper pipe or something. I think this is the answer. It's going to be a lot more straightforwards than taking sills out, and because of that I'm happier today. I went home in a fearful mood last night, I can tell you. There was some cussing. So I watched back-to-back episodes of Cold War Motors. I do like Cold War Motors. Shout out to Scott and the agents, they're just lunatics. It makes this sort of stuff look like I don't know. Anyway, so that's the plan. Had a visit from Stuart at Machine Ore today. He bought me this, and it goes in there. It's a thing of beauty. It'd take me half a day to make that. I can plug weld that into place. That'd be nice. And then in other news, I have been drilling out a world of spot welds. So I've released the seat reinforcing brackets. I've welded the arch. I've got the seat retaining brackets and all of the infrastructure that I need on the rear arch, including the which has disappeared briefly, but it will turn up, I'm sure, including the spare wheel support, because that's not included on the curtain, which is standing up there waiting patiently. And then, well, I've been rebuilding this this B pillar. So at the moment, two big sections have gone in. There's a bit of warp on that. I can soon straighten that out. But basically, you've got this piece, which zigzags this way and then that way, and then stops there. But basically just a standard zigzag. Profiled it using my profile. That's what come out. And that's what's gone back in again. Okay, we're looking into the light, which makes life a bit difficult. Let's move the light. Right, so and repeat. That's what come out. That went there, like that. And that's what I put back in again. Still need to flat the welds back, but this was the easiest way I could find of doing it. This gently recesses back. Don't worry about the crease there. This is all loose at the moment. This is just really so that I can get the profile of the base of the B pillar correct. Then I welded a bloody great big slab of metal on the inside of that piece, which extends to the outside there, which is what the heel board welds onto. As you can see, again, I've drilled the spot welds off the end. Then I made up a second piece, which is pretty much a flat piece, runs from the bottom of the sill right the way up here, and I put a little lip on the back of it just to give it a bit more strength, and then welded that into place. We're looking into the light again, folks. Let me just roll that over. And then welded it onto the back here. Again, welds need to be flat back. I can close in that piece there, and then the last piece will be an angled piece, which will go over the top of this piece here and box in this whole area down here. And I'll be happy with that. The sill, well, yeah, I mean, I was grinding back the welds and I thought, good God, that's quite a long gap, because normally the top sill, well, the inner sill and the outer sill and the inner sill, I should say, normally line up along this edge here. So when I measured it, the whole fucking sill, front to back, is twisted. I think there are some people out there who really should not be touching the welders. Anyway, there's not a lot I can do about that. I've kind of adjusted the B pillar to fit it. And the door probably needs a bit of adjustment now. Oh no. Closes nicely, doesn't it? Nice gap. Perfect. We've got good gaps, nice and even all the way around. So that, for me, is a mission almost accomplished. So finish off that B pillar tomorrow, get the curtain and the floor into place, and I can actually start moving on with this thing. Once the curtain's in place, then I'm going to take the goalpost off, and we're going to learn all about goalposts and what an absolute and utter ball's ache they are. But yeah, I'm quite pleased with that so far. That's all heading in the right direction. Had a bit of a busy day today. So, you can see the other curtain is sort of in place. It's clamped in place. So, you've seen already how I've welded the arch to the floor. Secure the floor in using a self-tapper straight through the top of the rear cross member. But prior to that, I've clamped it up to the trailing edge of the sill, the heel board. That's gone in, one self-tapper there, one clamp holding the curtain into the right location, and at the back here. Okay, the B-pillar, well, apart from flatting back some welds and just putting this closing section down here, I've got that more or less where I want it now, so that's gone back more or less exactly as it would have left the factory, just but with MIG welding rather than with spot welding. I had to weld this panel back on again. And then on the inside edge, rather than this all being open to the world, it's now a box section. And the closing panel can actually fit down here once that the arch is back in place. I need to obviously seam seal, I need to paint, I need a world of stuff to do. I've got the cross members roughly in the right sort of place. You can get them out when the support is dropped right down. So don't worry too much about that, but yes, the cross members are in place. And this thing is all ready for me to weld, but I've run out of time today and I'm going home to have a gin. The good news is, ignore the rattling at the back here because everything else is loose. Now, with regards to the sill, back end of the sill, I have ground everything back and welded it, and I've filled that gap down there with weld, so that's sorted that out. And then I thought, well, the easiest way of doing this is really to understand where the outer edge of the lip that secures the inner sill to the outer sill and the inner edge is, cut a slot, whatever width that is, a baby finger width, and then once that's all cleaned up and I've cleaned both edges up, I will fill that with weld. I'll weld it from one end to the other. A bit of a marathon of a welding job, but while I'm doing that, and this is slightly weird, I haven't got anything here to leave it up with, the welds that are along here, which you could see the remains of the welds here because there's been quite good penetration going through, they're snapping. So fuck knows what he was using to weld with, previous person. Looking forward to getting the back wing back on this thing again so I can see what it looks like. But yeah, that's been quite a lot of work and stress this week. Really, getting to the point of realising the sills were compromised, cutting all of the crap out. The scrap pile has grown somewhat. Go string. It's mostly filler. I wouldn't get too excited about it. Hello L95. That was my phone up there, just sending a message off to the customer. Yes, so I'm looking forward to getting this welded up tomorrow, then I can get the goalpost off. Good work, Richard. Bloody good work.